back to yet another Plasticon review. Yeah, this is kind of odd because it's not Generation 2. This is Generation 1 Combiner Wars. Yeah, Skylynx. This guy. This gigantic shuttle of awesomeness. Really odd to see this kind of thing come out more or less in the modern age, considering they have retired the space shuttle. But this is kind of like a concept shuttle. I mean, look at it. It's got like some really odd characteristics going on here. Honestly, there's not many characteristics on this thing that really pick out as like actually being from a real space shuttle. These really odd little fins here up top really wouldn't have been on one. Not to mention the way the cockpit here is actually lined out. The actual space shuttle really only has maybe that much as like visual view, other than maybe the windows on top. Now they did kind of pick out some windows on top there. It's kind of cool. Really nice gold paint going on there. I do like that. I don't know what this black thing is on here. Probably something that picked up some dirt or something. This right here would have been like an access port for actually getting into the space shuttle. Same here on the other side. Although the original real space shuttle doesn't have these. I do like the idea that they did pick out some boosters here on the nose and in here, because that's what they use in order to directionally turn in space, which is kind of cool. Looking here at the very back of it, it's got some really nice gold detail here, which is really reminiscent of the Skylynx from G1. And I do like the idea that they almost did like the G1 looking logo here with the gold, considering back then it was gold foil stickers for this toy. So a few little windows here on the side, and I guess you can probably guess that these right here might be guns on the sides here, kind of picked out. Some really nice detail throughout the entire thing. Unfortunately, there's no way to actually open up the cargo bay, but it is kind of neat that they actually pointed that out. The other cool thing is these right here look like little solar panels that are here kind of on the side here, picked out in gold. And I do like the idea they just slapped a little Autobot symbol there. We'll find out what that's actually for later, but some really nice gold detail kind of down here next to the rear wing. I do like the idea that the you can actually kind of see down inside here. Yeah, you can see how kind of hollow it is, but it's cool that these are actual like holes instead of just like big plug things. Now the odd thing about the space shuttle, it's got this big gigantic chunk underneath it, which the original Skylynx, this right here would actually separate and form two different portions. The top part being more of a condor, and this here down here being more like a lynx. It does come with these handy dandy sword, I guess you can call them like a tune fork, which is kind of cool that they do look like guns. It's really cool because you can like put these here if you wanted to on the side just like that, or you can put them through here in the very back, and they actually do stick in there pretty decent. And you can use that like if you put both here. I kind of envision this as like the exhaust coming out of the back of the space shuttle when it's taken off. It just really looks cool like that. It's a very decently built toy. I actually think this is probably one of the rare versions that are out there to find for Combiner Wars. There's a lot of people out there who's really had issues trying to find this guy, it seems that way. The other cool thing I do like about this is, although this right here is part of the transformation, I actually like using this as a way to load cargo into the space shuttle. There's a lot of aircraft out there that actually have like a mouth kind of thing that pops down so that way they can actually load cargo, which is kind of neat. Really cool detail all the way across the entire bottom of them. You can obviously tell these are just big chunks of something, not even really sure what it would be. It'd be kind of neat in order to actually see this thing separate, but it does not separate from the bottom. It's about the only downfall I can see here. But it's very cool, has a lot of nice detail. It even has a little teeny tiny landing gear here that I kind of picked out, which is kind of weird because that's the only landing gear that's there. There's nothing else. There's no other landing gear. And you know, you can see a lot of somewhat robot stuff going on underneath, but not much. Considering Skylynx is kind of one of those weird things that doesn't really have like an official robot mode. Anyhow, let's move on to his other mode. The, I don't know, bird thing? Here's Skylynx in his Skylynx mode. It's primarily a gigantic dragon. I really like this mode. There's something about a space shuttle being able to turn into something like this just looks really cool. I just think it's the idea that you're able to hide all that mass inside of it. Really, really cool. It's a very, very large piece. It's actually not one of the smaller Combiner Wars. It's actually fairly big. Here's G1 Optimus, or G2 Optimus Prime next to him. That way you guys can see, you know, he's pretty good size. Maybe you can put Prime on here, ride me or something like that if you wanted to. But, you know, it's really cool. I do like the idea that the guns actually form part of the tail, so that way you don't have this little stumpy type of tail. It's really cool. Articulation's actually not too bad. It's got a very decent articulated neck, and you know it's really emotive. It's nice to be able to have some type of way to make him actually have a little bit of personality here, especially considering all you really see is a gigantic head of like a jet sticking out here, or you know, the space shuttle. And the legs actually have some pretty decent articulation, some pretty decent detents here. And this right here, you can pop this actually off if you wanted to really give it more of a claw mode, if you really wanted to claw out at somebody. But primarily it's just supposed to stay in there clicked. But the back ones here, they're a little lackluster. These are a bit loose, but to be honest, there is one screw in here, so it's not like it wouldn't be too hard to actually do something about that issue if there was, you know, some floor polish or something like that could actually probably fix that issue. Right here, this is kind of a common thing going on with these guys. Although, to be honest, my legs really aren't that bad. There's like no ratcheting or anything going on in here, but it actually stays pretty stiff. It does have some kind of inward-outward movement there. And the tail kind of waggles, and it's primarily like this, which, you know, it looks like he broke his tail, but it's kind of neat how you're able to do stuff like that. Now the wings here, they can kind of be a bit of a pain. There is one screw in there. Like I said, it wouldn't be hard to actually fix some of the little teeny tiny issues that some people's had with him. But to be honest, mine really hasn't given me as many issues as most people's has, especially when we put into the combination mode. But I do like what he looks like. He's really nice and dynamic looking, unlike the original one. It didn't really have much dynamic to him, although he was much larger than this guy. He did, like, well, G1, obviously no articulation, so it was very difficult to do anything with showing any kind of emotive stuff going on. Now, a lot of people are probably going to wonder, oh, why are your wings backward? These wings right here come inverted the other direction, and they easily pop off and on. I just prefer them to be out like this because to me it adds more character to his silhouette. Not to mention when you actually have him in jet mode or shuttle mode, it looks much better. And it actually doesn't really hamper the combination mode. So speaking of combination mode, let's go ahead and stick him into that so that way we can see what it looks like. Here's Skylynx in his power-up mode, as I like to call it, also known as Skyrain. Now some people are going to be like, wait a minute, where's Wheeljack? Well, I used Alpha Bravo, because Alpha Bravo to me is really not an aerial bot. I think he actually fits in much better with this group. But this is actually probably one of the coolest looking combiners that has come out of the entire line, as far as I'm concerned. It's got some very nice detail, and just the whole silhouette itself looks interesting. I do like the way Skylynx actually does form a very convincing torso. It works really well, and it actually has pretty decent articulation. Some of the articulation that the guy has is really nice, especially here in the shoulders. He's actually able to do, be able to bring his arms in, which is something that a lot of the other combiners was actually missing out on. And this kind of gives him like that beefy, hulky kind of look. And even able to like split his, widen his shoulders even more for some pretty decent dynamic posing. I do like this about him. Not to mention you can either flip this up or put this down. I prefer it out, so that way it's almost like he's wearing more armor on his chest. But he's actually pretty decent. There are some people out there who's really had some issues with the floppy leg syndrome. To be honest, it's really not that bad. It's not as bad as everybody keeps putting it off as. And he's actually pretty decent. I really haven't had much problem with him, and he's got some pretty nice leg posing here where you're able to actually use this knee joint here as well as the actual combiner limb joint. Has some pretty nice widened stance as well, and he's actually not too bad. I do like the way he actually looks. Now the cool thing that I do with him on the back, which probably most people don't think about this, but I take the entire shuttle, turn it around and lay it as flat as I possibly can against the back of him, so that way it doesn't hamper anything. And then I'll take the wings here and kind of arch them out a little bit, so that way you can actually get to some of that movement there. A lot of people have been just clacking these right up against the back, and then it doesn't allow you to be able to even pull these wings out at all to give it a little more, dynamic posing or anything else to add to the bulk. One thing you can do, obviously, with these is you can kind of move these up to get them kind of out of the way and make them look like they're actually part of the pistons or something like that going on with his arms. And kind of just add to it. I do like the way the silhouette looks though. The silhouette looks really, really good. Not to mention the head sculpt. I love this lion looking head sculpt, which is very cool because it's more of a lynx and it really adds to the whole Skylynx motif. although, you know, he's kind of red, white, blue, and gold, it still works pretty well. Although, you know, you got a black arm, a green leg, and you obviously have, you know, smoke screen over here with the red, white, and blue. But with the Alpha Bravo being added in that, I think it actually adds. It doesn't really take much away. Wheeljack added a little bit, but he just, I don't know, just Jackie does not seem like a combiner limb to me. But this actually works pretty good, especially with the blunt claw look here going on instead of just the normal fingers, which was actually kind of an ingenious move. Would have been cool to see more of that. But anyhow, let's do a quick little size comparison here with our G2 Optimus Prime. You can obviously tell he's got some height to him. He's pretty tall. I would say he's probably, you know, I wouldn't say he's the tallest combiner out of the group, but he gets up there pretty high. I do like what he looks like. He's very nice. He's actually not too bad, especially when it comes to all the combiner central pieces. He's probably one of the strongest in my opinion. I know some people will have like a few QC issues with like the hips and such. This guy really has never crumpled on me on a shelf. He's actually held together pretty well, which might be just my luck of the production run, but these are actually pretty nice. Anyhow, this has been Plasticon. This has been yet another Generations? Combiner Wars? Wherever the heck you guys want to put these guys. Anyway, review. I'll catch you around, because you know what? Got plenty more coming. See you around. Bye.